I think the older I get too, the more I appreciate it. It was good. Eau Claire is where I grew up, and
Nice.
it's a pretty city. Do you know it?
I mean, I just know it from like Bon Iver, basically.
Yeah, I feel like everyone like learned about
Yeah.
Eau Claire through Bon Iver, which was also kind of like a surreal experience because like growing up, nobody, I feel like knew like Eau Claire, as, you know, when you would travel. And then once I was like a freshman, I think, in high school when the Bon Iver thing started happening. And so then, you know, once you'd get to like college and you'd be like, oh, we're from Eau Claire, while you're like out traveling, people are like, oh yeah, Bon Iver.
Did that actually like change the city at all, do you think?
I think so, in some ways, yeah. I think everyone probably would have their own take on like what that impact has been, but I think for me it was kind of cool because learning how to play guitar and like making music as like a young person in Eau Claire, everything felt more like possible. Like seeing what those guys were able to do, it was like, wow, like, you know, you can be from like a smaller town in Wisconsin and still make music that people will find and like listen to all over the world. And that was kind of a cool feeling, or like a cool, it kind of like expanded my brain's like capabilities of like what is possible, I guess. But
Cool.
and I think it also gave people like a sense of pride too, like in like the music that was coming out of our city, and like just also like what makes Wisconsin special, like having people see and like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I could, yeah. Shadowboxing with a knife, it's been falling down like thunder. Holding on a steady line, thinking I could make it mine, but I lost it somehow. Drinking in the morning light, chasing down an empty feeling. Don't know what it's supposed to mean, think I found it in a dream, but I lost it somehow. Busy living on the outside, don't tell me white lies. It's been at high tide now for a year. Burning embers that ignite shouldn't be an invitation. Keeping secrets from the night, knowing wrongs don't make it right, but you're calling on vibes. Busy living on the outside, don't tell me white lies. It's been at high tide now for a year. Da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da, da da da. But when all is said and done, we learn the hard way how to become. It's not much, but it's enough. A head full of dreams and a heart full of love. Busy living on the outside, don't tell me white lies. It's been at high tide now for a year. Busy living on the outside, don't tell me white it kind of like we just started like writing it, and then my friend Jordan and I. So Jordan produced the first album, and we did a lot of like we co-wrote together for this next album, where we would just sit down and like he would be playing chords and stuff, and then I would start like freestyling melodies and lyrics over the top, and so we kind of started working on it in the pandemic, like over Zoom, which was kind of an unusual way to write. Like I had never written like that, but there was so much like going on, and I felt like everything just kind of started pouring out when we were doing that, like subconscious stuff, you know, as you're like kind of just singing over chords. And I think looking back on it, like we wrote like maybe 30 songs that way, and then pared the album down to 10. And when I see what we wrote and kind of see it come together, I notice that there's like a theme in some ways, kind of like growing up, and also the experience of like trying to find your way as an artist. Like, you know, I put out an EP and I put out one album that was like very personal to me before this, but making this third one, like sometimes there was moments around like, why am I doing this? Like why do I love making music, and like what's like driving me to like keep doing this, when sometimes you feel like you don't know really, there's not like a demand for it, you know. Early on in your career, you're just kind of like putting stuff out, and so I was kind of like thinking about that question. I think that came up sometimes in the songs, of just like the feeling of realizing that sometimes you just do something because you feel like you need to do it, and so there's some songs about that. There's some songs about like love, and I hadn't really written love songs until this album, so those are all obviously about Eric. And some of them were like written about long distance, and then just like the experience of growing up, you know. Some stuff about that.
Awesome.
It's a mixture.
Yeah.
It's only been 3 days, and I'm running myself ragged in this haze. I keep the hall light on, stack pillows where you lay. When you're not gone, when you're here and my head's cradled in your gaze. But it's all that I can do to stop thinking of you. Not that I want to. When you get back, we'll see that nothing else has changed. I realize your love is worth the wait. It's sunny here today. Where you are, the leaves begin to change. I'm feeling far away, and wishing I could tell you to your face. But it's all that I can do to stop thinking of you. Not that I want to. When you get back, we'll see that nothing else has changed. I realize your love is worth the wait. When you get back, we'll see that nothing else has changed. bad advice. I'm just trying to think about what it was. I think there's a lot of stuff, that like artists and musicians get told about like how to create and how to do stuff. And I would say in general, like you always have to take everything with a grain of salt. Like you can't like trust anybody to like tell you what you need to do and how to go about, because everyone's, like cliche to say, but like everyone's path is different and everyone's way of like having their music enter the world is different. And I think sometimes like this idea like, oh, you need to constantly be making social media content, you need to constantly be like online and like engaged, and you need to constantly be putting out music. I think that's just not how I like function. I think sometimes I go through like seasons of like I'll write like 30 songs in a period of time, and then I'll spend time for a period of time like thinking about what the world of those songs is like, art-wise, like visually, and like how to play them better and stuff like that. So I think for me, I've like realized that it's kind of more like a cycle of like focusing on these different things at different periods of time, like in a wheel, but not necessarily like putting the pressure on myself to like always be in like create mode or like output mode. Where I feel like I can create things that I'm proud of more quickly when I take time to like rest in between.
And all these faces look so typical, but all the superheroes go.